is meaningful to them. I'm your host, Emma, and today's episode is a solo one because I wanted to tell the story of something that happened to me in 2023. It took me totally out of my comfort zone in a really good way, and I really enjoyed it. And if any of you follow me on socials, you will see some of the pictures. But I did a fitness photo shoot, and it was one of the most challenging but rewarding experiences I've ever had. Maybe a fitness photo shoot doesn't sound too challenging, but it is in all of the weeks that lead up to it. And there was so much in it that applied to my business, but also made me much better at business because of it. And so I just wanted to tell the story of it and how it impacted me, but also how it totally related to my business as well. So at the end of 2022, and if you're not into fitness, this episode has so many resonating points still. So this is not about you getting fit, or even though it had a massive, profound effect on my business, but I just wanted to tell the story of what happened to me and what I learned from it. And so at the end of 2022, I'm not a yo-yo dieter. I don't have big fluctuations in weight. It wasn't about that. It was just I wanted to. I was kind of happy with how I looked, but I thought I could be more satisfied with how I looked. And I really wanted to understand. I don't know if you've ever watched or seen the pictures of people that have done fitness photo shoots, the ones where they're all like dark spray tanned, they look really toned. And I think I was also more intrigued as to whether that was possible for me. I don't know if you've ever thought that when you've looked at really like super fit pictures and you're like, well, that's all right for them because that's how their body's made, or that's what they look like. And I signed up to a program with a Manchester-based business called Lifestyle Lean. I hope to have the founders, Mark and Jess, on the podcast this year for sure, because what they do is fantastic. And I signed up to this program, which was all about the Lifestyle Lean way. So it was about how you build in habits that become second nature, that you enjoy, that you love, that lead to a fantastic fitness, shape, confidence in your own body. And so, yeah, I wanted to do it to look better, but also I think I was ultimately intrigued to I can't get like that. That's not possible. I think there was an element of that in my head. And the thing that is so great about this particular process, and I know there's lots of different companies that do it, there's Ultimate Performance, all these different companies that do this kind of intense is the wrong word actually, because at Lifestyle Lean, you can go at your own rate, but they do these programs where you can celebrate it with a fitness photo shoot at the end. And the one key thing I just want to dive into straight away was about the habits that I built on Lifestyle Lean. And since finishing the program, sometimes there's busier times in business and I might wait for them, but I always find myself, even after say a couple of weeks of being off the wagon of the healthy stuff, going, right, no, I'm going to get back to my Lifestyle Lean way. Like it's properly ingrained in my mind now of the key things that lead to just really good habits, a better looking physique, and also just feeling much better mentally in myself. This is what was so much about it. So really simply, my journey was a collection of habits that were tracked weekly. And this was I think the most surprising thing to me as I did the journey. It wasn't about absolutely beasting myself at the gym every day. It wasn't about crazy HIIT classes. It wasn't about starving myself and being on such low calories that you were hungry all the time. It wasn't about any of that. It was about it was ultimately about the 1%, you know, the Sky cycling team, David Brailsford's, if I'm not going to go into the story now, but ultimately they made so many small changes in Team Sky in the cycling that they became like the absolutely dominating team in the world. And all of these 1% people would never think made a difference. So you'd even like tiny iterations on saddle height, on how much sleep the cyclist got, because that made massive, you know, they really went into what 1% can we keep tweaking and getting better at? Can we improve sleep? Can we improve the material this particular part's made from? Does saddle height make a difference? You know, it was all of these things, and I won't do the story justice if I try and tell it now, but it was all about the 1%. And this is what this particular journey was about. So it was very simply tracking calories every week on MyFitnessPal. And so for me, I had a target of, it varied as I got close to the shoot, but it was 1,800 calories a day. I tracked the number of steps I did. I am the biggest advocate of steps now. For some people, some of my friends, it sounds boring, but walking and that movement is by far the best calorie burner. It's like non-fatiguing, and I won't go into too much detail because I don't want this to be a fitness episode. It's not about that. It's about, I was tracking in the beginning 12,000 steps as it ramped up 14,000 steps. And that's like 2 or 3 hours of walking a day, which once you start to focus on it and go, how am I going to do this? It becomes really simple when it's a couple of dog walks. It's actually, I'm going to walk to the shop instead of drive there. I'm going to walk to the train station. You know, you can easily start to, for a lot of the time, I'm just going to get up an hour early, do an hour of walking, listen to my favorite podcast. So it was about my calories, it was about my steps, and it was about drinking lots of water. That was a key part of it, which I did anyway. And then the other part was just my workouts. And I just want to maintain this wasn't about training extremely hard where you're constantly exhausted and fatigued and tired. It was about 3 simple weights workouts and 2 cardio, so like 2 runs a week. And that was my journey. And it sounds really simple now when I say it, but actually sticking to the calories and the steps and the workout every single day, and not having those days like, I just don't feel like it today, or I'm going to get the McDonald's on the way home, or whatever, or I'm going to have the additional glass of wine and I've gone over my calories. And the thing is, the McDonald's isn't necessarily a good example, because what I found was on the days where I went 1,900 calories, 2,000 calories, so I was going over by like 1 or 200. It's not like I was about to put weight on. But the compound effect of the 100 calories over, the 200 calories over, was that week there was no drop in weight. There was no change on the scale. It was like, that's a bit of a disappointment. But the weeks when I didn't have the extra and I just stuck to my 1,800 and I did my steps and I did my plan my workouts in, there was a drop in the scale. And it really, really highlighted to me of the impact of the small changes. So even like on the days where, I've been at a training course all day, I had to get up early, I drove in the car, I didn't really get to do any steps. On the weeks when my steps were much lower, again, there was a minimal drop. But together, the steps, the food, the workouts, and just tracking them and making sure I just literally ticked them off, that's when these marginal gains together, there would be small and then getting larger incremental drops in the weight week to week. And so I just wanted to explain like how that works, because it's not, when you see these programs, it's not some big science or mystical, like you have to have the right body for it. It was actually just about doing the right things every day, tracking it to make sure it got done. And the compound effect over time had me dropping weight slowly until I got to a certain point. So, and how that would work is that I would have the other big thing there was the simple habits that I tracked every day. And then every single week on a Thursday, there was accountability. There was a check-in, and so it also it differentiated a decision I might make, because I knew that come Thursday, I was going to have to say, I didn't do 10,000 steps, or I went over my calories this week, or I just didn't do the cardio workouts. And knowing there was going to be that kind of disappointment in myself on a Thursday, completely motivated me to make a better decision in the week. So I've got my habits that's happening, and I've got my my check-in, my accountability on a Thursday, where very simply I answered some questions. Did you do an average of 14,000 steps a day? Did you eat an average of 1,800 calories? And they were all just averages. So some days you might go over a bit, some days you were under, but it was just an average. And so that accountability really got me focused on the goal. And the third thing was that when I decided to do this, so in the very beginning, I was like, yeah, I'm going to do it. And I didn't really commit to it properly in the very beginning. Well, I didn't commit to it properly at all. I would still go out for dinner with my friends and pick whatever. I was probably doing the steps, but then I'd go over calories. And it was only when I went, right, do you know what? I'm actually going to get this done, and I'm going to make it the top priority in my life, as in terms of this came first. So the decisions that I made, this came first. And so in my head, it was the super one focused thing I was focusing on. Of course, I was still, doing everything else, running my business. But in terms of if I had the workout scheduled in at 4 p.m. and I still hadn't finished what I was doing, I went and did the workout and carried on what I had to do after. Or if it meant that I had to get up earlier to go and do an early walk, or if it meant that ultimately I planned my diary around the fitness first, which I still do now, to be fair, because it's become so important in my life. But because I was so hyper focused on the one thing, and I think that often, if we treated our businesses in the same way, whether it's the one project that we must get done this month or this quarter, whether it's the one client, the big project we like, the big opportunity we really want to land. I know as business owners, entrepreneurs, I don't know about you, but every single day, even if I stop to listen to something, to read something, have the shower thoughts, I probably have God knows how many ideas every day where I think, oh no, we should be doing this now, or no, this is a good idea, let's do this opportunity, or there's so many potential things running through my mind, and obviously we can't do them all. And so the more hyper focused we get about, but what is the one thing I'm going to get done? And, whether it was me last summer going, no, I really want to launch this podcast and I'm just going to focus on how I get this done. Because once it's done and rolling, it's much easier to maintain, but it's getting it across the line, isn't it? And I think for so many of us in our business, we'll have so many competing projects, priorities, needs from our team that it has helped me so much in life, the understanding how it works in doing this fitness photo shoot, that I completely apply it now all the time in my business. Like, there's things we want to do. There's probably 100 things we'd love to do this year. But what right now is really the number one, that if I just went, no, every time I'm carving out an hour, or I've got some free time, or I'm spending it on that and getting it across the line, rather than, the half-eaten biscuits and the doing bits of everything, that's when we expend loads of energy and not a lot happens. And two really good books on this that I've read countless times before is The One Thing by Gary Keller. Amazing book, all about how if you really just distill down to the one thing, it has the biggest impacts. And the other book I would recommend on it is Essentialism by Greg McKeown, I think it is. Can't remember. I've remembered both these authors just completely off the top of my head there. But Essentialism is another really good one where it really explains about the impact of all energy expended in one direction on one thing has such a fantastic output, as opposed to your energy going in lots of places and not a lot moving forwards. So I had my habits that I was tracking. I had my accountability. And so during this fitness journey, which was ultimately, I started it at the end of 2022, but I didn't take it seriously until January 2023. And then between the January and the June, I was like, right, no, I'm going to do this. And everything came below. So obviously in these times, I would say no to things. So no to the dinner, no to the drinks out, because I just wanted to stay really focused on what I was doing. So I poured all my energy into the single goal, and I wasn't distracted trying to stick to all my habits and also go out on lots of dinners with clients or networking events. So I made it really simple for myself to make it happen. Just the one goal, 100% of my focus. And honestly, the learnings from it were completely unexpected, but it was groundbreaking for me, because I realized how much I got done when I did that, when I hyper focused on the one thing. But I also realized how the daily habits that sometimes you just might not feel like doing. I don't really want to go to the gym, but when you've got the accountability, knowing you have to say you did or you didn't, really helps. How much better you feel. And I'm not just talking now about, I went to the gym and I've got endorphins, but because I was taking more care of what I was eating, nutrition, maybe not having that glass of wine like on a Thursday night, and instead going, I'm just going to save that till Friday. And then my whole energy and stress levels completely changed. And I did talk about this a lot when I used to do weekly videos. about how my ability to handle stress changed so much during this period of time. And I am not just, I can't convey enough how much it did change, because often what we will do is when we're in stressful situations, it's easy to go to things that give us immediate feel goods, whether it's food or drinks or Netflix or scrolling or whatever those initial dopamine things are, because life feels difficult right now and I need a distraction from it. But what happened is, as I was daily looking after myself and in a much better physical shape, but also mental shape, because I was sleeping better, because I was a bit I was lighter. In the end, I lost about 10 kilos, but I was getting lighter. I was drinking lots of water, eating good foods, moving my body, even if it's not, even if some days it was three Ralph dog walks, I was so much more physically capable of handling stress. And as things came up, especially in that January period, I remembered specifically thinking, wow, I feel very different. Like, this has just happened, and normally this would send me into a spiral. And actually I'm like, no, okay, let's deal with it. I became much more pragmatic and less reactive. And honestly, this all stemmed from me treating my health as a priority. And it was the best and biggest learning lesson I've potentially ever had. Because we're all not getting younger. And whilst I'm in no way, shape or form old at all, but it can be easy to think that the choices we make are never ever going to impact us, in our health, and they do. And the more I really harnessed that and had this 6-month period of going, oh my God, I actually feel fantastic. And even when something unexpected or unpleasant comes up, I'm still like, okay, well, let's deal with it. There wasn't any kind of reactivity on it. And that is something now that I've carried with me ever since. And even though, as I say, I might kind of veer off path sometimes, or at Christmas I decide not to kind of stick to my habits, I go back to it because I know how much better I feel. And so today's episode of Focus on the Fun Stuff is based all around it. One, that the habits that I had, it's very much based in business, and I will go into that in a second. But today it's about actually it can be so easy to go, I'm just, I need to drive to this meeting. I'm going to get up at 4 a.m. I'm going to get something on the road at a service station. I don't have time to cook tonight, so we'll get a takeaway. And while these things in isolation, one-offs, totally get it, they don't hurt consistently. They do hurt, and it's not just about future health. It's about your ability now to be really high functioning, high performance, super ready to deal with all of the things that you'll be juggling. And that is my biggest learning from the fitness journey, that if you look after yourself first, it's a bit like the old adage of, if the plane's about to crash, you put on your own oxygen mask first so you can help others. It's completely the same with your fitness and health. And so the second part of my journey that I just wanted to chat through was that the habits that I learned and embraced in my fitness journey, we very much embraced at my PA. So about having the one goal. So we're very clear now each quarter what it actually is we want to achieve, or we only have 1 or 2 big projects happening at any one time. Before, we used to be absolute addicts of trying to do lots of stuff. To be fair, it's probably me that was the addict of it, and trying to go, I can do this, I can do this, I can do this, when actually I can't spread myself so thin. So we're super clear now on what is our one goal that we're trying to get towards. And I think so many of us maybe aren't super focused on that. I was just talking to Mark Mills earlier on his episode about he had very clear goals of what he wanted to do, which was exit his business, and everything worked back from that. And so having a really clear goal of what's important to you, whether it's an amount of money in the bank, whether it's being able to finish work at 5 or finish at work on time, or whether it's selling your business, having that really clear goal of where you're trying to get to. And then in terms of, I would track my habits and report in on them. And we do exactly the same at my PA. So every Monday we have a meeting called the SOS meeting. It's at 12:30. It's with me and my leadership team. And we literally go through a scorecard of data that we track week to week. So that's things like clients gained, clients lost, Google reviews, net promoter score, which is customer happiness. It's number of leads into the business, number of sales that we've made. It's like some key things that we know, it's a bit like the dashboard of a car, that if one of them's well off, that we're going to veer off path, so we can use that data to adjust where we need to spend our time. And it's not about obsessing over the data, but having the visibility once a week to check in and go, well, okay, well, we're way down here. What's happening, and making that accountability around the team, and just choosing those key indicators that mean we know whether we're heading in the right direction, just like I did with if I do my calories, my weights, my walks, I knew I was probably going to have a drop on the scale. Same way in the business, if we know we've got enough leads coming in, we've made enough sales, we've lost, we're in target with the number of clients we've lost, we've had some Google reviews. I know if we keep repeating that week to week, just very much like Daniel Priestley mentioned on an earlier episode about having a perfect, repeatable weeks, those very almost simple metrics, just like it felt to me quite simple that my calories and steps were going to lead to a fitness photo shoot. It's exactly the same in business, and being able to track that. And also when you see those positive numbers as the impact they have, the marginal gains, it like reinforces all of the hard work that you're doing. And so it was about the tracking, but also the rhythm of it. So showing up every single week, like I did with my calls with Jess, my fitness coach, like I do on a Monday with my leadership team, showing up every single week to know that we're either hitting our goals or we're not, like we're on the way there. It's just about kind of, if you want to go and drive to a new hair salon, you'll put in the GPS where you're getting to, a very specific place. You won't put the park near it, or you won't put an address 10 minutes away. It's where you're getting to, and it's exactly the same in business. And in business, I think that the rhythm, just like I had with Jess to track my habits to lead to this photo shoot with a spray tan and the muscle shots and everything, it was just exactly the same. It was, at my PA we have weekly consistent onboarding targets. We have weekly targets for everything, and it's that steady, predictable rhythm that keeps us moving forward and always leads to good things. And it's because it's not just about doing the work, it's about doing the right work consistently. And your business will boil down to some key numbers that if you track and improve week by week will have the biggest difference. Because when you've got a clear rhythm, everything flows. It's just like driving a car. If everything's moving at the right pace. So even like it might look like a set number of social media posts, a set number of regular check-ins with your team, a set number of prospect outreach to potential clients. It's like, what is your business rhythm? And I know for some, kind of either the creating of the system of that or the data can feel super overwhelming, especially if you're not a very systemized business or you haven't really delved into these numbers which are key for you. But the key thing for me is actually just doing it step by step. There was a year, I think it was 2018, and I did a video on it at the time. And we had really knuckled down on, we'd like grown a bit. I think we were like doing 400K in revenue. There was 10 of us. And we really had to, if we were going to get to the next level, start to get serious about our operations. And we committed to creating a process every single week. And by the end of the year, we had 52 more operational processes created. And honestly, our business was in a much better place where like our revenue was starting to increase much faster. We were able to onboard more clients. And whilst we just committed to one a week, by the end we had 52. It's like they're small, simple commitments, but over time, you start to see the impact. And so, I hope today's episode is helpful, both if you need to get how you're treating yourself maybe back into gear, or whether it's just about what are those key metrics I could look at, and whether it's you on your own or a team, just something you can track week to week to know that your business is on track. If you would like any help with that at all, you know where I am, pop me a message. I just wanted to share, the fitness photo shoot wasn't about looking good in front of the camera. It was about proving to myself that I could achieve that goal, achieve something that I thought wasn't necessarily possible for me, and it was, because the sense of it afterwards and the feeling is priceless, and that's what keeps you motivated to keep moving forward. Exactly the same in your business. So I hope today's episode was helpful about accountability, about the habits, the simple habits every day, just ticking them off, and the tracking of the data, both health-wise and in your business. If you focus on one thing, you can monitor your progress, work with rhythm, achieve your goals. And so, yeah, if you want any help with that, hit me up. I'm here to have a chat. And yeah, I hope today's episode was helpful to go and figure out what is focusing on the fun stuff for you in your business. And I will see you very soon.